Hello everyone, Manithral here, and welcome to the OSRS weekly update video. Now this week we have Group Ironman, but before we get into that, we have the hot fixes and issues. So the issue that was raised first, of course, individual prestige stars can disappear from side panel at times. The hot fix is that refreshing the side panel should make your prestige star appear. At 11:25 BST, areas of Tutorial Island are causing players to become stuck. They fixed the hot fix to resolve this issue. Players still experiencing being stuck or unable to move during the tutorial should relog. At 11:38 BST, groups are being booted, disbanded, logged, and the consequential loss of group/hardcore status. So at 1200 BST, they released a hotfix to address the issues above. Relogging should allow you to create a group. Once this is done, going to the hardcore armory found on the node east of the statue should allow you to reselect hardcore. At 1210, the fix didn't seem to be working for all players, so they're continuing to investigate. And then at 1700 BST, if you're still experiencing the issues when forming a group, try again when a quieter world to minimize the risk of it crashing. Additionally, ensure that all group members are standing still when creating the group. While they know this isn't ideal, it seems to fix the issue for a number of players as they work on the full fix for the issue. So there is a full fix coming, but right now they just need you to kind of stand still when you're doing it and get it all taken care of. But yes, Group Ironman is out. So for those who aren't very familiar, it's a group of Ironmen, whether it be regular Ironman, hardcore Ironman, or ultimate Ironman. You can have groups of 2 to 5 players. There is leaderboards for it. There is recruitment for it. So once you start it, do not continue out of Tutorial Island with the mage, or you will leave the island. So you do need to actually go ahead and get that started there at the node, which is a new island off the coast of Tutorial Island. So you got to make sure you get that taken care of, because right here, as you can see, there's the port to go to there, and then you go to the node, and then you take care of that. So there is a new Ironman setup menu. As you can see here, you get to select which kind of mode you want to actually select, if you want to be Ironman or not in general. But before you do leave the node, make sure you get your group. That is where your groups actually get made. Currently, it is not possible to join a group outside of the node. So to form a group, you have to click Create Group, choose whether your group is Prestige or not. Right-click on the players, then press the Invite option. Choose the group name, so this will only be saved once your team has successfully formed, and select Confirm. And then, are you sure there are enough players? Well, enough people in the group. Are you sure you want to create the group? And then, congratulations, you have created the group. And as you can see, you get a blue helmet icon, maybe red for a hardcore Ironman. I don't know about Ultimate. But you definitely see the blue helmet from the side profile, and it'll actually show you different information about your Ironman group. So that is what you want to do. Recruiting into existing groups. So there is a way to actually get into existing groups. That is if, let's say, you got kicked out or something like that. Or if you leave a group, you will be able to join a group that has a gap. In order for that group to have a gap, though, somebody had to have been left that group or has been kicked. So if you create a group of 5, that means that group can forever have 5 people if 5 people join up. So keep that in mind as you're doing this. Prestige status, groups that remain in the same after formation have prestige status. This means they are distinguished from other groups that have changed over time. This will encourage teams to stick together and is their way to recognize groups' loyalty. So if you get prestige, there is a little bit of a benefit to that. But group prestige is lost when inviting a player into your group once the group has already been formed. A player in the group does Chambers of Zarek, Theater of Blood, Nightmare of Ashahama with players outside of their group. So when it comes to like the raid kind of stuff like that, you gotta kind of do it with your group. Players will always be warned if an action will lead to the loss of the group. So you got to keep in mind about that. Well, the group prestige. So keep in mind about that. Try to group up with your group members when it comes to stuff like that. Individual prestige. The short term of this is anyone is able to leave their group and join another, but doing so will also result in loss of both the group's prestige and individual prestige. Neither kind of prestige has an impact on gameplay, but will both be marked on the high scores. So that's kind of like the perk about it. You kind of get, your own little marking, your own little bragging right, essentially. There is a high scores for the group, so that's something that's pretty cool where people can compete with each other. Player-owned houses. So there, you can do house parties with that. Currently, your regular Iron accounts can have a player-owned house of their own, but can't enter another person's house. Well, Group Ironman is a little bit different. You can enter your group members' houses. There is a group storage. It's like a bank space where all the members can group store and withdraw important items. But only one player will be able to use a group storage at a time, and you have to have the appropriate levels to actually be able to even pull anything out. So the top left screen does show the occupied slots and the total number of slots, just like a regular bank. Top right of the screen may also contain the following. So there is like limitations that you can set up with this. View only if the player is blocked from depositing, withdrawing. Deposit only if the player is blocked from withdrawing. The wealth cap remaining for the player's withdrawal limits. Please note that this doesn't update in real time. A blank space if the player has no restrictions. So if you don't see a restriction up here at all, you're good to go. You can do what you please with it. So when a new member joins a group, there are hard caps on how much wealth that player can receive from the existing members and from group stores. So there is even more things that you can do other than that kind of restriction. So the cap starts off very restrictive, but quickly becomes more lenient. So wealth caps at 1 million week 1, week 2 is 20, week 3 is 50, week 4 is 100 million, and then week 5 the cap is completely lifted. So some kind of cool stuff to keep in mind. So content restricted items. If a player, this is one thing I was saying about, if a player wishes to use the Grazi Rapier, they must first complete the Theater of Blood. So you do have to complete prerequisites in order to actually pull stuff out. That is actually something that you have to do. But this being said, as long as you do that, you have access to it. And let's say you have a couple members that are very good at it, and they have a lot of those rapiers. Well, guess what? As long as you completed it once yourself, you'll be able to get to that rapier as well. Combat. So the group Ironman, you can. It basically functions the same as regular Iron players in combat. If someone outside the group hits an NPC, the drop will either go to the outsider or disappear. So if only group members attack the NPC, the drop will go to the group member who dealt the most damage. Kind of important stuff to keep in mind. So combat, try to stick with your group again. Group content. So in the Chambers of Zarek, this is those kind of things. Group Ironmen will be able to play just like regular Ironmen. Items will drop to the floor like a main account. But you can drop potions for your group members to take. You can, if they leave the drop, it'll eventually show up. So it's kind of like that happy middle between regular accounts and Ironmen. But it only works within your group. Changing the party. So you can leave a group. The leaders can then reassign. If you find somebody who is searching for a group, they could be reassigned. There is a grace period. A player who is kicked from a group also gets a grace period of 7 days. This way people can kind of change their mind, maybe cool down about a situation, think it over, talk it over. There is an account status. If you become a regular account, you'll lose your GIM status and be removed from both GIM and the high scores. Abdication of the leader. So this is if the leader does not want to be the leader anymore, they can step down or disband and leave somebody else in charge. Group Ironman, you get so many lives. This is something to kind of keep in mind. You get a life per member, and then once the total hits 0, that means everybody is no longer a hardcore group Ironman. You're just a regular group Ironman. So something to kind of keep in mind. So also make sure you have your accounts protected. Ironman bonds. So speaking of Iron players, they are now permitted to buy bonds via the Grand Exchange. They're still unable to sell bonds or buy bonds by any other means. So something to keep in mind. They can now officially buy bonds. Other changes are corrected some grammar in the Woodcutting Guild, corrected the description of a particular stash unit's position. The items lost on death screen on World 45 now correctly show full bank stacks as lost, rather than just 80% of them. The Roomfest 2014 Home Teleport animation, which features a dancing cow, is no longer offered in PvP areas. Due to widespread disruption, the default home teleportation animation will be played in those zones. As previously stated, Ironman will now be able to let other players into their houses, although they will still be unable to visit the houses of others, so something to keep in mind. And also as above, all kinds of Iron players will now be warned if they won't receive kill credit or loot drops from the creature they are currently attacking, which is actually very nice because then you don't have to worry about finding something. The Soul Wars imbued black mask has now been changed to match its requirements. The store button will now appear for all new accounts and will also appear on the desktop for free-to-play accounts who have enabled on mobile. The store button can be toggled on and off in the settings menu under interfaces. In her time, Maud Grimoire worked on the login screen volume slider for the Steam client, and that's out now for everybody to try out. There is the official merch store. So we have Group Ironman BTW, and we have different types of Group Ironman and Hardcore Ironman type armor sets for different pins. Don't forget, there is also the quick update regarding the first 20 years of the major book of it. So they expect pre-orders to start leaving UK and US warehouses on October 19th. So they are running a little bit earlier than they anticipated. PvP World Rota has moved to Period A, which is 539 US PvP, 548 Germany High Risk PvP, 577 US Free-to-Play PvP, 559 UK LMS, 390 AUS LMS, and it becomes active with this Rota. So that is it for today's update. So thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, later guys.